Confirmands, hope you've had a great week. It's so good to be with you to continue talking about the Old Testament. Last week you actually got a sneak peek in your challenge question about what we're going to be talking about today. The question last week was, what did God create on the fifth day in Genesis chapter 1? The answer to that was all sorts of living creatures that are in the sea and winged creatures like birds. And we're going to continue talking about God's creative works today. We're continuing in Genesis and we're going to still talk about creation. We're going to look at Genesis chapter 2 and especially at the point where God has created Adam and Eve. Now, because of all of the creation that God has been doing, Adam and Eve are placed into a world where they have everything that they need. God has made everything they could possibly want. God has made Adam and made Eve so that they can exist together. They can take care of all of these good and wonderful things. But we find out very quickly that for these humans, that isn't enough. Creation is a beautiful story where we learn and think about how God has gifted us life here on earth. But very quickly in our story, we see the very worst in humanity, and it's through Adam and Eve not following God's command. There is one thing that God asked them not to do, and they just go and do it. They eat from the tree of knowledge. But this is a huge mistake. But even making a huge mistake, God doesn't give up on Adam and Eve. There are consequences, yes. And our story of creation is about us learning in our relationship with God. Just because we are loved and created, redeemed by God, does not mean there are never any consequences. So for Adam and Eve, after their mistake, after their sin, they are sent away from this beautiful garden that God has created for them, and they go into the wilderness. But God provides them with clothes. God provides them with a new journey to go on. And so even in disappointment, God is always providing humanity with chances to try again. And God never gives up on us. Now, if you have your Bible out, or if you want to take some time this week to read this first part of Genesis, you'll notice that in the first few chapters, we have chapter 1, and there's a full, complete story of creation. And then you'll get to chapter 2, and there is a different, but also full, complete story of creation. Is that a mistake? Why are both stories included? Now, it's not a mistake, because stories in our Bible are meant to help us understand our relationship with God. So as our Bible is being formed, people thought that both of these stories were important. And they're important because there's some major takeaways, major things we want to know about God in these stories. So both of these chapters are important. And we learn that God has always existed, that our world is created for good, and even though humans will mess up right off the bat, even though we'll be imperfect, we'll be sinful, God refuses to give up on us. Because the entire Bible, everything else we'll read, is God continually being in relationship with us and us trying over and over again to understand what it means to be God's people. So creation is the beginning of the story. It's how we understand our origins, how we try to make sense of where we come from and how we came to be. Origin stories are pretty cool. And so your origin story is when you were born. And one of the really cool things is that you got a name assigned to you so that people can tell who you are from other people. The same thing happened with Adam in the garden. God named this human creation. And so I want you to find out about your name a little bit more. It could be as easy as typing into a search engine your name and its meaning. For example, my name Ellen, when I search for it, means a bright shining light, and it comes from Greek origins. Or you could ask your family if they have any reasons why you have your name. How did you come up with my name? How did you pick it is a good question that you could ask. So that's your challenge for this week. Either find out the meaning of your name, literally what the language means or the meaning to your family and the people who love you. I hope that you have another great week coming up. We'll see you next week for more stuff about our Old Testament as we continue to learn about God's deepest hope, and that's to be in relationship with us. And one of the ways that you can be in relationship with God is to pray each and every day with your family or on your own. So take care, and we'll see you soon.